Fourth grade, multiply by a two-digit number. Take one, action.
All right, so here is the third and final way to multiply by a two-digit number. We have worked with base 10 blocks, we've worked with partial products. Now we're going to do it the old-fashioned way, the way that we learned when I was in school. We're going to go ahead and set up our numbers and go through this. This one is probably going to be the one that is the most familiar to you because you've done a little bit of it in the past, so this should be pretty easy for you. Example number 1 says, Anne's mom buys 2 helmets. Each helmet costs $24. How much does she spend on helmets? So what are we trying to find? How much she spent on helmets? She bought 2 of them and they are $24 each. So we are trying to find 2 times 24. So to set that up as a regular old multiplication problem, standard form would be to put the larger number on the top and the smaller number on the bottom. The way that we work through a multiplication problem like that is we're going to multiply both the 1s and the 10s by this number here at the bottom. So it talks about that first step in number 1. It asks you to do just that. So when you multiply 4 times 2, which is the first step, you get 8. And on your paper it actually shows you 2 times 4 ones is equal to how many ones? Well, 2 times 4 is 8. So we can put our 8 right there. The second step is to take this number and multiply it by the 10s. So this time we're going to be coming down here for number 2. It's the same problem, but it's going to be the next step. So we already did the first step where we multiplied the 1s times the 1s. This time it's going to be the 1 times the 10. So it's going to be this 2 times this 2. So when you do that, you get 4. So you have, what you did was 2 times 2 10s, which is equal to 4 10s. They're just breaking this down place by place for you. So we did the 1s first, and then we multiplied this one times the 10s. So we end up with an answer of 48. So Anne's mom spends a total of $48 on those helmets that she's purchasing, right? So they want to make sure that we check for reasonableness to see if our answer is correct. So they've used an area model to show that, which is what we were using in our last set of strategies. So they went ahead and they took this math problem and they split it up just like we did on the last one. So they took this 2 and they made the factor this side over here, and then they took the 24 and they broke it down into 20 and 4, right? The 10s and the 1s. And then they did the math in the box. They found the area of this particular rectangle. So this would be 2 times 20. And this box would be 2 times 4. Oh, getting a little ahead of myself there. I need my multiplication sign. 2 times 4. So when you complete those parts, 2 times 20 is 40, and 2 times 4 is 8. And then when you add those together, 40 plus 8, just like we did in our last lesson, you end up with 48, which is the same answer that we came up with utilizing the regular math from old school. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back of this page. We have another example to look at. It says 31 bikes were ordered from Jimmy's bike shop. Each bike has 2 tires. How many tires will he need for the bikes? So let's go back to our original problem. Let's see how many bikes he's making. So he's going to be building 31 bikes, and they each need 2 wheels. So we're going to be finding 31 times 2. So that's in your blanks up here at the top. You'd be doing 31 times 2, and we'll figure out what that answer is going to be. Now again, we've gone back to old school math where we are lining up those numbers. You always line up the 1s first, and that's where you're going to start. So you're basically multiplying the 1s. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. So he needs a total of 62 tires to be able to put those bikes together. So we can add in what we've found. As long as you're following the steps in order, you're going to be getting those reasonable answers. You can also think of it this way as a double check. If you know that you're doing some number times 2, one of the ways you can check that is repeated addition, right? You could do 31 and 31 and you could add them together. When you do that, you end up with that same answer. So that's one way that you can check for reasonableness. You can estimate. You could take these numbers and say, okay, what's 31 close to? Well, it's close to 30. And 30 times 2 is a pretty easy multiplication problem, right? 30 times 2 is 60. So if our estimate is 60 and our answer was 62, it's reasonable. Let's go down to the bottom and we're going to do a couple more problems. We have 42 times 2. Again, make sure that you're lining up your ones column here. And the second problem down there, that was number 1, and this is number 2. The second one is 21 times 3. And let's go ahead and go through these problems. So again, we're going to start with the 1 times the 1. So 2 times 2 is 4. And then we're going to multiply the 1 times the 10s. So 2 times 4 is 8. Over here, 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. And then we have 2 more here at the bottom. Number 3 is 11 times 4. And number 4 is 32 times 2. Sometimes you don't even have to set up the problem. You may know enough of the multiples and remember them to be able to solve a problem. In this case, I know multiples of 11 because we've been working on multiplication. And there's that cute little trick about how whatever this number is, 11 times that is going to turn it into those numbers. So 11 times 4 I know is 44. And with 32 times 2, I can do it several different ways. I can set it up old school like these guys. I could draw an area model if I wanted to, or I could even use base 10 blocks, whichever method works best for you, okay? I think in this particular space, since we've been practicing it today, we should do it old school. So I'm going to set it up just like that, lining up my ones column. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. So we end up with a total of 64. As I mentioned, now that you've learned 3 different ways, 3 different strategies to solve this kind of problem, you can use whichever works best for you. If you have any questions, give me a call or go ahead and email me at mvaw123@gmail.com. I'm also available via ClassDojo. Good luck!
And cut.